When we talk about plot, we talk about the events that happen in every story. The plot has 5 main parts: exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. And every plot is driven by some sort of conflict. The exposition is the very beginning of the story. In the exposition, you get 3 parts. The first part you get introduced to is the setting. Your setting might be things like what surrounding objects there are, or what natural features there are. Or it might be what country the story takes place in, or what state, in this case, for Of Mice and Men. The exposition is also going to introduce you to the main characters and any important background information. Sometimes this is things that you need to know about the characters in order to understand what is happening to them now. The second part of the plot is the rising action. In the rising action, you get multiple events that worsen the conflict. And this is where the tension builds, and so does the suspense. You want to keep reading because you want to find out what happens next. All of this leads up to the climax, what your English teachers like to call the turning point of the story. This is where the protagonist is going to come face to face with one of his or her challenges, and things are going to start to change for them, for better or for worse. The next stage of the plot is called the falling action. The falling action is a series of events that follow the climax and lead to the ending of the conflict and the ending of the story. And you can see that we have reached the peak in the climax, and now we're on our way back down the hill. The falling action is usually a couple small events in the story. It's nowhere near as large as the rising action. Ultimately, what it's doing is it's leading to the resolution, or the solution, where one, the conflict and the problem is solved, and any loose ends may be tied up. The ending may be happy, but let's be real, sometimes it's just not. It doesn't matter if it's happy or sad, as long as the conflict, the problem of the story, is over. And that's plot. 5 stages that make up the events of every story. Each plot must have at least one conflict that drives the action of the characters and eventually leads to a resolution.